Apple's big yearly event, WWDC, just wrapped, where they revealed all the AI features coming to the iPhone, iPad, Mac computers with iOS 18, iPadOS 18, and the next version of macOS called Sequoia. It's what they're calling Apple Intelligence, which is a clever way to reframe the term AI and associate it with Apple. I'm going to tell you all about it, but the question is, do these AI announcements Apple shared keep up with the competition? Stay tuned to find out. Writing tools is something that's being implemented everywhere. For things like emails and messages, you'll be able to have Apple Intelligence proofread, rewrite, and craft your messages and emails with a friendly tone, a concise tone, or a professional tone, and summarize key points within emails that you receive. It's interesting because this functions similarly to Grammarly, where they give you the ability to craft and rewrite anything within your documents. But Apple is building this natively into their operating systems. Within iOS, they're also allowing Apple Intelligence to prioritize your notifications, so it will take a guess at what it believes the best and most relevant notifications are, and it'll pop that up right in your lock screen. And it'll do the same thing with emails. It'll prioritize what it thinks is the priority messages in mail, and if they're time sensitive, it'll elevate it to the top of the list. And then this is summarizing long emails, which you can just simply cut to the chase. Services like Microsoft Copilot are already doing this today. And so Apple's catching up with giving their operating systems the ability to summarize long messages. Something that's new is you'll also be able to record phone calls and then capture the transcripts or relevant notes out of those phone calls and put them into the Notes app. And of course, the person on the other end will be notified when you do record. And then much like Microsoft's Copilot or Google's Gemini, when you're writing messages or emails, you'll be able to smart reply, and it gives you automated prompts that you could just click on in order to respond faster. Next up, Apple Intelligence is enabling the ability to create images. So you can create images inline within the messaging tool, and you can also do it within presentations. One of the cool, unique features is Apple is creating its own dedicated image generation platform, which is called Image Playground. It's not quite the same as Midjourney. You'll get a number of categories that you can select, and then from those categories, you'll type in what it is that you want the image to create, and then Apple will go ahead and create that representation. I have a feeling that it gives them an ability to keep their family-friendly reputation and restrict some of the ways that you can create images, so you're not creating images that are not family-friendly. But the really cool feature is they're introducing something called Genmoji, and what this is the ability to create custom emojis right within your devices. You know, in the past, when new emojis were coming out, we had to wait for them to be released in new software updates. Oftentimes, they were emojis that people didn't even want. If you could think it, you can create it, and Apple will string together the emojis that you want, and then you can go ahead and you can include it in messages. And then taking advantage of Apple Pencil, if you draw something within a presentation or within artwork, you can use a new feature called Image Wand, where if you circle the image that you've drawn, Apple will create an image of it automatically and then input that into your presentation or your drawing. And within the Photos app, you can then use prompts to search specific photos. So in this example, it's referencing a person with stickers on their face, and the Photos app will automatically bring all of those up. It's context aware. And then finally, catching up to what Google does on their Pixel devices. When you take a photo, Google refers to it as Magic Eraser. For Apple, they're referring to it as Cleanup. But you can now remove objects that you don't want in the background of your photos. The most feature-rich update is coming to Siri. Siri is now a full-blown AI assistant that can do things for you without you having to jump between multiple apps, and it'll query information a lot better, and it's deeply integrated into all of Apple's operating systems. So no longer will you get the bubble that pops up at the bottom. Now what'll happen with Siri is that it'll just glow edge to edge around your display. And you don't even have to speak to it anymore. You can now double tap at the bottom of your screen, and you can just simply type into Siri anywhere you are in the operating system and ask it a question. And because it's deeply integrated into Apple's operating systems, you can even do things like product knowledge. So if you want to know more about how to do something specifically within your phone or within your computer, you can type that question and then Siri will respond and give you the full steps on how to complete that action. And the other cool thing about Siri is that if you're issuing a command, it has much richer language and understandings. In this example, they're asking Siri to set a timer, but then they realize they've made a mistake. You can interrupt Siri real time and make a change on the fly. Siri will understand that, and then it'll go ahead and it'll update the second request rather than the first one. In this example, let's say someone has given you an address and you're messaging them and that message was several days ago. Rather than having to go ahead and search throughout that entire message thread, you can just simply say, hey Siri, remember that person that gave me that address? What was that address? And Siri will be able to just pull it up and give it to you right away. And then Siri will be able to take actions for you across apps. And this is where the power comes in, where you don't actually have to jump between apps. So here they're asking Siri to find a specific photo of a person wearing specific things. They will ask Siri to then actually make this photo pop. So Siri will then edit the photo within the Photos app automatically. And then if you ask it to implement it into a notes that you have in the Notes app, it'll all do this seamlessly without you having to lift a finger and jump between apps. Apple is very adamant about privacy. All of this Apple Intelligence stuff happens on device. Your data is never stored. They're only used for your requests. They're also encrypting everything within their cloud. Everything is running on Apple Silicon. They have something that's completely protected within their cloud operations, so they never know what you're actually doing. The interesting surprise that Apple brought out is they're integrating ChatGPT seamlessly across all of their devices. So when Siri cannot answer the request on device, it'll prompt you and ask you for permission to offload that request to ChatGPT to complete the transaction. The interesting thing is Apple is claiming that none of your data will be seen or stored by OpenAI and ChatGPT, and everything will still be completely private. They're also giving Apple customers access to the paid features of ChatGPT once this rolls out later on this year. So if you're somebody who's never used ChatGPT before, of course you can create a new account. But if you're an existing user, you can link your existing ChatGPT account and then get access to all of the paid features. So that's really neat. Whether it's your iPhone, your iPad, or your Mac computer, these are all the devices that are going to be compatible. So you do need a device with a A17 Pro and up, or the M1 family of chips. Overall, Apple's announcement surprised me because I wasn't sure how well they would catch up to Google, Microsoft, and the rest of the AI industry. They're in the game now, but it's clear that they're trying to keep up with the rest of their competitors. Partnering with OpenAI is unusual because Apple is known for creating and managing everything in-house. They usually don't open up their systems or applications to other companies, but with the AI industry moving so fast, if they didn't, they would be behind. The one concern I do have is even with the on-device AI capabilities Apple has built, they're not coming for several months. And as mentioned earlier, you have to have a list of one of the compatible devices to use them. This will limit the amount of customer reach for the time being, but it could also be a sales booster for Apple fans who weren't really interested in upgrading, but now they will because they want to take advantage of all of the AI capabilities being offered on new devices. Another thing that isn't really clear is how long the ChatGPT integration will last. Will Apple get the latest updates that OpenAI enables with ChatGPT beyond version 4.0? We don't have the answers to those questions. But it's definitely exciting times, and I'm looking forward to what comes next. What do you think about Apple's AI announcements? Let me know in the comments. And if you're looking to learn more about what's happening with AI, I have content popping up which you can click on right here.